Hey there, take two. Tad Hargrave from Marketing for Hippies. I'm joined here by Rebecca Tracey from the Uncaged
you're on
Life.
the curb, so you're...
Well,
Sorry.
yeah, I shouldn't be any. And we are, it's just, gosh, almost 9 o'clock at night in Toronto. It is really hot here. And we were just having a conversation about where a lot of entrepreneurs get struck, and she and I share a lot of opinions about this. And the thing I wanted to laser in on is that a lot of entrepreneurs have this feeling of like, oh, I'm doing all the right things, I'm so busy, I'm very active in my marketing, and yet nothing's working. I'm not getting the clients, I'm not getting the response, and why is that? And Rebecca has some thoughts about that that I wanted her to share.
Yeah. We were chatting about this because this happens with a lot of my clients who... a lot of my clients who they're usually new business owners, and they've kind of been, whoa, it's all me, and they're kind of been told what they should be doing in order to make their business work. So they're like starting Facebook pages, and they've got their Pinterest going, and they're on Instagram, and they're like told they should do some webinars, and so they're trying to do great things that can be great for marketing, but they're doing it without any focus. So they're like, oh, I put on a webinar and no one showed up. When I asked them who the webinar was for, they're like, well, it's good for everybody. Or they'll post on Facebook, they'll spend hours on Canva, you know who you are, making like photo quotes and posting their quotes on their Facebook page, and they're not getting any likes. They can't figure out why. And again, when I ask them who are the quotes for and what's the purpose, they don't really have an answer. So what I've seen with the hundreds of clients that I've worked with is this lack of focus on really, really clear foundations. So not understanding what your marketing message is, not understanding what your point of view is and what actually makes your business different, not understanding who your target market is, your niche, your ideal client. All of that is super vague for a lot of these clients, and not understanding how to actually put together content that will help their customers make a buying decision. So they're putting content out and writing blog posts and posting on Facebook, but none of it's actually strategic, and none of it's actually helping their clients make buying decisions. So that's what I see a lot. Yeah, I see a lot of people trying to do everything with no focus, and then nothing works. And then they think that they are just really shitty at their business and they should probably quit, and that's not the case.
Yeah, it's it becomes kind of busy work at that point.
Yeah. Where
people they're busy, it's true, they're active, they're taking a lot of action, but it's not directed anywhere, it's not building anything, there's not much of a foundation that's coming out of it. Yeah, it's funny, I've said it in workshops before where I'm talking about niching or like the point of view or any of this more foundational work, platform kind of stuff is like, it's like you spend, because that's all the strategic considerations, it's like you spend 1 hour on that and it saves you 10 hours.
Yeah.
In the future.
Yeah. But
But if you just stay on the tactical level of just application and I've been posting on Facebook and I've been doing all this stuff that's truly productive in a certain way, but like what it's producing is just motion. What it's producing is...
Yes, I love it because it feels tangible. It's like I have a business, I'm doing something, I'm working on my business, and I think you get a high from that, and you get a really good feeling from it.
Yeah.
But it can't continue that way without the focus.
Yeah, it's not sustainable. It's the... I think that's the thing is like, for so many entrepreneurs, there's so much pressure. There's like, there's a financial pressure. There's there's all this emotional pressure too of like, wanting to achieve and get things out there, and like, we spend so much time, working on our biz. And so there's this pressure build up, and we want to relieve the pressure, and part of the way we relieve it is by doing something. But it's not necessarily directed anywhere, and so there is a relief. There's this release of pressure. It's like, oh, good. It's like people will say, oh man, I went to this networking event and I gave out 100 business cards. It was amazing. I really got my name out there, and I'm just like, man, that is misdirected drive. Because it's like you got your name out there, sure, but it's like, does anyone call? Of course, nobody ever calls. They just get home, they look at the business card like, who the hell was this? And throw it out with everyone else.
I see that a lot with blogging, where a lot of my clients get really excited that they have their website up and they're going to start writing blog posts, And they'll be like, oh, it took me like 4 hours, but I got my first blog post up. And it's, you know, it's a tangible thing that they can post, which is fantastic. But then they're just kind of like, now what do I do? So I've got this post, it's great, without realizing that, you know, there probably wasn't a lot of thought as to what happens next, which means their post probably wasn't as effective as it could have been at the time. They started writing it was not used as wisely as it could have been if they had known why they were writing it, who they were writing it for, and known what they were going to do after they actually wrote the post.
That's interesting, because I mean, there's a couple levels that strikes me. One is like this thought, well, what do I do now? It keeps the focus on the doing, keeps the focus on like, well, what's sort of the next action, which can be what gets us in trouble in the first place. But what is your sense? Like, yeah, what do people, when somebody's at that place, it's like, okay, so I've tried all these things, I've been taking all this action, I've been genuinely hustling, you know, putting in a lot of work, and there's not a lot of results from it in terms of clients or money. Yeah, what is your sense? What do people do at that point when they hit that point of like, like nothing's really working?
Yeah. Well, so first I look at what they're actually doing. And often it's, like you said, it's kind of misdirected attempts. But even if it is good stuff, often I'll come back, well, not even often, always I'll come back to what's the message they're trying to put out there, who's the message for, what are the problems that they're actually working on with their clients, and what are their solutions, and what are they doing to get themselves in front of new people. And it's those foundations that I think no matter where you are in business, you need to know those things. And I have clients who've been in business for 5 years, and they come back to that stuff whenever they're creating a new product, or money's not coming in. They always come back and look at who am I trying to market to, what's my message to them, how am I going to package it all up in a way that's appealing to them, and then how am I going to make sure I get it in front of them. And I think if you have those 4 things, a lot of the, you know, the Facebook posts and the blogging and all of that can become more focused. It's like it's my favorite new F word. Everything becomes more focused and strategic, and then the time that you're putting into the doing is actually going to pay off, and you're going to be rewarded for it.
The metaphor that came to me is it's kind of like
I have a metaphor for it too.
Okay.
You go first.
And you, the audience, can vote on which metaphor is better. So yeah, the metaphor that came to me is like, it's like if people are shooting bows and arrows, or I guess shooting arrows, like you don't shoot the bow, but you have a bow and arrow, and it's like that quick kind of action is like, it's like you pull the bow back but not very far. You know, so it's just like a little, you're just kind of shooting a lot of arrows, but they're not going very far. There's not a lot of distance to them because, and they're not really hitting the target because we're just, you know, pulling it back real quick and shooting it, versus there's the patience of like you pull it back all the way and you really hold it and you aim it, and then when you release it, it goes right into the target.
That's a good one.
That's a pretty good metaphor.
That's a good one.
That's
wait for mine, but
Tad Hargrave original. So yeah, so it just strikes me that it's I guess the tortoise versus the hare. That's 2 metaphors.
No, you only get one.
Okay, that's right. What's your metaphor?
So I always think of it as if you're building a house. You don't go and choose the carpet and the curtains and the paint colors and decide what kind of fancy furniture you're going to get before you actually build the foundation and build the walls. Because if you do have all those fancy things, as soon as it rains, you're fucked. So you need to actually build the structure and what Tad I think calls the container around it, so that all those pretty things actually become functional.
It's pretty good. It's not. I mean,
you don't think it's as good?
Well, I mean, bow and arrow is pretty sexy as a metaphor. So yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, people. I like it. It's a good metaphor. Yeah, people go for the wrapping before. It's like I got this beautiful box. It's so wrapped. Look how beautiful. Yeah, man, you've wrapped that box perfectly. Look at all that bow. I mean, I've never seen anything wrapped so well. What's inside? Nothing. There's not a lot. Or it's like it's some stuff I got from
really
from the dollar store.
I see that a lot with clients who go and they get so excited about their business, and I get excited for them, and they go and drop like $5,000 on a website.
Right.
And then 3 months later, they're calling me crying, going, "I spent all this money.
Oh my God.
I don't want to change it, but I have to because I didn't know anything then. I didn't know what my message was. I didn't know what my niche was. I had, just kind of threw together some packages, and now I have to change all of it. What do I do?" And that sucks, you know, because the answer is like, well, you're going to have to change what you can by yourself or pay someone again because you jumped into it. So it's like, it looks beautiful and it looks fancy, but a few months in they realize it's not working for them.
Yeah, you know, the other place that hits, I've seen too, is I've had so many people come to my workshops, and let me just stop for a second. It's going to be noisy. Let's get in the light. But yeah, I've had so many people come to my workshops and tell me like, Tad, I wish I discovered your workshop years ago before I paid all this money to do this like huge, you know, $10,000 a year coaching program.
Yeah.
And the thing that they say is like that those coaching programs didn't focus on these basics or assumed it.
Yes, they assume. We've talked a lot about this before.
Yeah, so it's like they assume that you have your niche, they assume that they have your all this, and then it doesn't work for people. Like they haven't done that strategic stuff, and it just ends up being a big waste of money. It seems like so many things are a waste when those things aren't in place.
Yeah, and then I think people get really scared to invest again in their business, which sucks. Right? Because there's a lot of investments that are fantastic and that are totally worth it and that aren't a waste, and so it sucks kind of getting burned once and then having the balls to actually put money down again on something is scary.
Yeah. Well, that's our little conversation on our walk. We're just back up to Bloor Street where it's going to be a little noisier. But you can check out Rebecca Tracey at the uncagedlife.com. She's got a program coming out in September called the Uncaged Business, or Uncage Your Business?
Uncage Your Business.
Uncage Your Business, which I'll be sending out an email about. So if you're interested in her work, check out her website. She's one of my favorite colleagues out there right now.
You say that because you're next to me.
It's true. No, but she's one of my favorite colleagues out there. I actually met her in Toronto years and years ago, and so we just stayed in touch and been colleagues almost ever since. So check it out, Uncage Your Business at uncageyourlife.com and theuncagedlife.com.
It's a lot of words. It's a lot of uncaged.
Spelling is hard for me. All right, thanks everybody.